Hold on tight, because today's spotlight is on one of the most talked about modern classics in state-themed collecting, the 1999 Delaware Quarter. As the very first release in the groundbreaking 50-state quarter series, this coin isn't just spare change, it's a miniature time capsule, a tribute to revolutionary grit, and a perennial favorite among seasoned collectors and newcomers alike. By the time you've taken in its design, tracked down a mint state specimen, and uncovered its little quirks and errors, you'll understand why it remains the crown jewel of state quarter mania. The moment you flip this quarter over, Caesar Rodney's determined silhouette leaps out. You can almost feel the late summer heat of his 80-mile ride in July 1776, when he battled illness and road fatigue to break a deadlock vote for independence. That ride wasn't a leisurely cruise, it was a race against time for a cause that shaped a nation. On this coin, Rodney's figure, braced against the wind, speaks volumes about resolve and sacrifice. Meanwhile, the obverse side features the familiar portrait of George Washington, reminding us that even the first president's visage can deliver quiet elegance when paired with the energy of Rodney's charge. The backstory of how this design earned its place is nearly as compelling. State officials and citizens gathered at the Chase's Mill historic site on Delaware Day in December 1998 to vote on 8 finalist designs. Among allegorical liberties, a quill and ink motif, and other contenders, Rodney's ride claimed the crown with 948 votes. This grassroots selection process gave Delawareans genuine ownership of their quarter, an early example of public engagement that set the tone for the entire series. It's a coin chosen by the people, for the people, and you can almost feel that civic pride every time you hold one. Now, spotting the very if you want depends on the mint mark. You'll find a small P for Philadelphia and a D for Denver just below Washington's bust, while proof coins from San Francisco bear S. Over 414 million came out of Philadelphia and 691 million from Denver for circulation, but only about 3.7 million proof S coins were struck. That huge gap in numbers means pristine S proofs often fetch double or triple their face value, while top-graded P and D examples can climb into the four-figure range when they hit the auction block in perfect condition. Circulated examples might still languish at face value. 25 cents isn't going to break your budget, but once you step into mint state territory, the story changes fast. An MS-60 might go for around $3 or $4, enough to make a handful of rolls worth checking at the bank. Move up to MS-65, and you're looking at $5 to $6 a piece. Those who chase MS-67 specimens routinely pay $10 to $12, and occasionally a near-flawless MS-68 will surprise everyone by selling for over $1,000. That kind of price jump shows just how hungry collectors are for perfection. Of course, not every quarter has to be a mirror-like proof or a near-perfect mint state coin to be interesting. Die cracks at the Philadelphia Mint sometimes give rise to an arm, hairline fracture across Rodney's horse, almost like a sweat line beneath its belly. Those minor errors might push a quarter's value into the $10 to $20 range, depending on how pronounced the crack appears. Finding one in loose change can feel like pulling the winning lottery numbers. Suddenly you're the proud owner of a small nugget of minting history. The science behind those die cracks is fascinating. Under the stress of striking thousands of coins per hour, steel dies develop microscopic fissures that grow with each strike. When one of those fissures crosses the die face at just the right moment, you get a tiny ridge on the coin where metal has flowed into the crack. To collectors, that ridge is a fingerprint of the mint's inner workings, a reminder that coins aren't merely stamped, they're born from a dynamic process with room for surprises. When you compare Denver strikes to Philadelphia ones, you'll notice Denver's coins often boast sharper lines and crisper details, especially around the horse's mane and Rodney's cloak. That difference elevates them slightly in value. An MS Plus graded Denver quarter might fetch around $4, while its Philadelphia counterpart hovers closer to $3. It's subtle, but for serious collectors filling registry sets, those nuances matter profoundly. Proof lovers, meanwhile, chase the deep cameo contrast in San Francisco's PR65 DCAM examples. The frosty white of Rodney's figure stands out against the mirror-like background, creating a three-dimensional effect that photographs beautifully. Those coins trade hands for over $1,000, with top-graded DCAM proofs sometimes nearing 2,000. They're the ultimate showcase pieces, perfect for display in acrylic frames or elegant folders. Over the past 12 months, auction floors have recorded steady demand for MS66P mint examples, with final bids generally settling between $10 and $16. That consistency tells us there's a reliable market for mid to high-grade mint states, even as new collectors discover the thrill of state quarter hunting. If you're targeting bargains, keep an eye out for MS62 and MS63 pieces. You'll find them at $5 to $8 and gain instant equity by virtue of their condition. Beyond the numbers, the Delaware quarter holds sentimental value for many who grew up in the late 90s. Back then, the state quarter program tapped into a surge of pride and nostalgia, families trading rolls of coins, kids learning geography through their pocket money. It turned coin collecting from a dusty hobby into a cross-generational pastime. Even today, a well-worn Delaware quarter might carry memories of roadside stops, classroom coin-swapping games, and the first spark of interest in numismatics. If you're lucky, you might encounter one of the off-center strikes that slipped past quality control in those early Philly and Denver lines. When Rodney's horse leans at a dramatic angle toward the rim, the effect is unmistakable, and collectors love these mishaps. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, those coins can sell for anywhere between $50 and $300. It's a quirky reminder that even a mighty mint can have an off day. For those who enjoy the tactile thrill, grading a Delaware quarter by hand is part of the fun. You hold it up to the light, examining field hairlines for scratches, and peer at Rodney's cloak for frosty luster. You assess whether the word "Liberty" cuts sharply against the sky or if it's been softened by circulation. That close-up inspection connects you to the minting process and transforms a simple quarter into a personal treasure. When you come across a roll of these in bank rolls, don't rush to spend them. Each MS62 or MS63 quarter could net you $5 to $7, free profit for anyone willing to hunt through a few rolls. And if you're aiming for registry glory, investing in MS65 to MS67 examples offers the best bang for your buck. The jump in rarity and demand between those grades and the ultra-high ends creates room for significant upside if values climb. All told, the 1999 Delaware State Quarter is much more than pocket change. It's a piece of living history, a link to an extraordinary act of patriotism, and a showcase of modern minting artistry and era books. Whether you're perfectly happy with a well-worn circulated copy or you're chasing that elusive MS69, Delaware's quarter delivers layers of appeal, and plenty of reasons to keep hunting for the next gem to add to your collection. The Massachusetts State Quarter, released in February 2000 as the second issue in the 50-state quarter series, carries a design steeped in early American rebellion and the rugged spirit of New England. At its heart is the famed Minuteman statue from Concord's National Historical Park, standing vigil with musket in hand, a silent sentinel to the shot heard around the world. Flanking him are two pine saplings, symbols borrowed from Massachusetts's colonial currency that spoke of the state's rich timber heritage and its commitment to independence. Even before you examine one up close, you can almost feel the energy of that April morning in 1775, when citizen soldiers stood their ground against the redcoats and altered the course of history. Delving into the origin of the design, you'll find that Massachusetts officials chose the Minuteman not only for its historical resonance, but because it visually anchors the quarter to a specific place and moment, the North Bridge at Concord, where local militia first engaged British regulars. In selecting that image, they tapped into a shared narrative, one of ordinary people doing something extraordinary. If you hold the coin so the obverse faces you, George Washington's familiar profile seems to gaze steadfastly toward the Minuteman, as if acknowledging the legacy of citizen leadership that both figures represent. Official mintage figures show that Philadelphia struck roughly 93.4 million of these through its P die, while Denver produced about 242.6 million D quarters for circulation. San Francisco's S proof issues numbered around 3.5 million, a comparatively small one that immediately set those specimens apart for collectors. Proofs caught perfect lighting to accentuate the frosted statue against a mirror-like field, creating a three-dimensional effect that still draws admiration 2 decades on. In everyday pocket change, Massachusetts quarters still exchange hands at face value, but in mint-state, values grow quickly. A PCGS or MGC MS-60 example might sell for around $3 to $4, nothing to scorn if you're willing to hunt through handfuls of rolls. Climb to MS-65, and you're looking at $6 to $7 per coin. MS-67 specimens routinely reach upwards of $12 to $15. And for the true rarities, MS-68 and above, collectors have seen auction results pushing into the high hundreds or even low thousands, depending on the appeal and surface quality. What truly sets the Massachusetts quarter apart are its era and variety issues. One of the more talked about anomalies is a die break that sometimes appears as a jagged ridge running through the state outline or along the Minuteman's musket belt. Collectors refer to these as bridge cracks, and they can command anywhere from $20 to $50, depending on severity. Some of the most dramatic examples show a curling metal spur near the pine saplings, almost as if a miniature mountain range is formed on the coin surface. Early runs at both mints also produced off-center stripes, where the artwork drifts toward one edge, leaving a blank crescent on the opposite side. Mildly off-center pieces, say 5% misalignment, might trade for $50 to $75, but when you find a dramatic 20% or greater shift, values can soar into the $200 or $300 mark. It's a testament to the simple fact that when precision falters, collectors see opportunity. Double-die varieties, though rarer, are out there too. Look for slight ghost images on the lettering, especially the state name arcing above the Minuteman, or echoed edges on the date and mint mark. These subtle shifts happen when the hubbing process misaligned by a fraction of a millimeter, and though they often require a magnifying glass to spot, they can boost a quarter's value by 30 to 40% over its non-variety peers. Beyond these technical quirks, some Massachusetts quarters carry stories that add emotional heft. One Series 2 set, for instance, included a specimen discovered in an attic by a retired schoolteacher who remembered studying the Revolution in her classroom as a child. She submitted it to a registry set that ultimately won Best State Group in a major show, and that personal connection transformed a 25-cent piece into a trophy. For coin enthusiasts, those narratives underscore how collecting combines history, hobby, and human interest. Condition matters across the spectrum. In circulated grades, you'll spot the Minuteman's details softening first, the folds in its coat, the ridges in the wood of his musket, the texturing of pine needles. Collectors looking for tidy investments often target corporate special mint sets from 2000, where matte coins were struck on specially prepared planchets, some say to test new polishing techniques. Those matte finishes, especially in near-pristine shape, can fetch $10 to $20 more than their brilliant uncirculated counterparts. Proof coins, particularly deep cameo, DCAM, examples, represent another level. In those, the pale frosted Minuteman pops against a flawless, mirror-field background, and the pine sprigs gleam like tiny ice sculptures. Early DCAM Massachusetts proofs in PR65 can trade around $300 to $400. At PR68, collectors have paid over $1,000, treating them as centerpiece items in display cabinets. On the auction block last year, MS66D mint regular strikes hovered between $13 and $18, with seasoned dealers predicting slight upticks as the early 2000s generation continues rediscovering state quarters. If you aim for bargains, MS62 and MS63 coins can be had for $5 to $8 a piece, the perfect entry point for someone building a registry set without breaking the bank. Even the coin's edge tells a story, 119 reeds circling its circumference, a reminder that every facet of design, from obverse to edge, plays into collectability. Some speculators swear on edge doubling errors, where a faint second image appears on the reed tops. Though inconclusive in many cases, serious graders have certified a handful of these as genuine and priced them accordingly. Visionary collectors will tell you that patience pays off. A quarter sitting in a box since 2000 may have silently accrued value, and short of certified rarities, lightly circulated rolls bought at face value represent an untapped trove. Sifting through 6 or 7 rolls to find a half dozen MS-64s could yield immediate profit if you list them individually rather than in bulk. Outside the rarities, the Massachusetts Quarter resonates because it channels a pivotal moment in American identity. Each time you hold one, you tap into the memory of Concord's North Bridge, where ordinary volunteers stood firm against imperial might. It's that connection between metal and memory that distinguishes these state quarters from mere coinage. They're miniature monuments you can carry in your pocket. For those who enjoy the hands-on aspect, grading by eye remains a delight. Raising the coin to eye level, you catch stray light reflecting off the statue's hat brim or the pine branches, revealing microscopic bag marks or hairlines that speak to its journey. It becomes a tactile puzzle. Does that faint clouding around the date signal a lesser grade, or is it just a fleeting reflection? Those moments of inspection form a bond between collector and coin. Bringing it all together, both the Delaware and Massachusetts quarters reflect the blend of history, design, and serendipity that makes the State Quarters program a modern collecting legend. Delaware introduced us to the thrill of choice, crowdsourcing the design and delivering unexpected auction stars, while Massachusetts reminded us of the defining moments that forged a nation, all encapsulated in a 25-cent piece. Collectors of all stripes have found reasons to celebrate, invest, and share stories around these coins. And as you continue to hunt through rolls, explore registry sets, or simply admire the artistry, remember that each coin you hold is a fragment of American heritage, and a testament to the fact that even the smallest pieces of metal can carry the weight of history. At the Philadelphia Mint gave birth to a quarter that now sends experienced collectors scrambling into storage boxes and online auction houses. The 2005 California State Quarter isn't just metal stamped with a familiar profile of George Washington. It carries a chapter of American coinage history that only a handful of enthusiasts fully appreciate. Today, we're peeling back the layers of that little disc to uncover why it has become a prized prize among those who know exactly what to look for. The journey of the California Quarter began as part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, which rolled out designs celebrating each state's unique heritage between 1999 and 2008. California's turn arrived in early 2005, and the design by sculptor T. James Farrell featured a soaring California condor above the rugged Sierra Nevada mountain range, with an inscription of Eureka nodding to the gold rush spirit. At face value, it was a nod to natural beauty and historic ambition. But beneath that standard issue exterior lay the potential for far more intriguing varieties, some so scarce they've gone for tens of thousands of dollars when they finally hit the auction block. Identifying which examples carry that extra spark takes a keen eye. The baseline features include sharp detail in the condor's feathers, clean edges on the mountain peaks, and a crisp, 2005, mint mark at the coin's rim. But what really stops seasoned collectors in their tracks are the striking anomalies, double dies, where the lettering or images appear slightly offset, or off-center strikes that leave part of the design truncated. Even a subtle die clash, a faint ghost image of the reverse design showing on the obverse, can propel a quarter from a fraction of a dollar to a premium beyond imagination. It's the rarity of these errors and the stories behind them that inflate the value. For instance, a handful of California quarters exhibit pronounced doubling on the E pluribus unum legend, a flaw traced back to a misaligned hub during the die preparation stage. Those examples are estimated in the low triple digits, with fewer than 50 confirmed specimens known to circulate. Then there are the off-center strikes, which vary from mild, less than 5% off-center, to extreme, over 15%. The latter can command prices well above $1,000 in high grades, simply because collectors treasure anything that diverges sharply from the norm. As for headline-grabbing auction records, the current standout sale involved a California quarter with a near-uncanny 17% off-center shift and razor-sharp detail around Washington's profile. Graded MS-65 by a top-tier service, it sold for $12,500 in late 2024. Proof that even a state quarter can rival rarer series if the error is pronounced and the strike quality remains high. More routine double die examples in certified MS-63 condition tend to land in the $300 to $700 range, depending on how visible the doubling is and how well the coin was preserved. Behind these numbers lie tales that seasoned collectors love to swap at meets or on online forums. One well-known story involves a bank teller who spotted an off-center strike while sorting rolls, tucked it away in a personal collection, and only realized its worth years later, after a cousin studying numismatics recognized the misalignment. Another intriguing nugget, a handful of proof-like finishes slipped through quality control, exhibiting mirror-like fields surrounding the condor. Those rare proofs were never officially released but occasionally surface on estate sales, fetching a solid premium for their unexpected cameo. Condition plays its own starring role when it comes to value variations. A standard circulated California quarter from pocket change usually rides in at 5 to 10 cents above face, depending on where. At about uncirculated levels, where only the highest points show slight friction, values climb to about $1.50 to $2. Full mint state, MS60, MS62, examples are surprisingly affordable, often trading at $5 to $10. But once you step into the MS65 and beyond territory, prices can skyrocket. MS65 pieces with full luster and minimal contact marks often trade between $15 and $25, while MS67 specimens, practically flawless by any standard, can fetch $75 to $150. Collectors who invest in rare varieties face an even steeper scale. A double die in MS67 Plus might start around $800, but exceptional pieces with bold, clear doubling have been known to break the $2,000 barrier. Off-center strikes follow a sliding scale. A 5 to 7% shift might trade for $75 in high grades, while 12 to 15% errors slip into four-figure territory. The rule of thumb: the more dramatic the deviation and the sharper the remaining detail, the more intense the bidding wars become. If you're hunting through rolls or exploring dealer stock, focus on the edge and lettering first. Grab a loupe and inspect United States of America and E pluribus unum for doubling or distortion. Then tilt the coin under varied light angles to catch any proof-like mirror effects in the background. Keep an eye on the centering. Even a slight off-center shift can make an otherwise common quarter stand out dramatically. And when in doubt, submit potential showstoppers to a respected grading service. Certification can make or break your sale price down the line. Even if you never encounter a headline-making error, this quarter's story highlights how a design intended for everyday commerce captured an undercurrent of numismatic excitement. From the official release celebrating California's natural heritage to the accidental flaws that thrill modern collectors, this single issue bridges past and present in ways few pieces of small change ever do. With that adventure behind us, get ready to set your sights on the next chapter of the State Quarters saga.